This conference will now be recorded.
Thanks, folks. Good afternoon. Call to order at 1 o'clock for our Town of Mono Police Services Board meeting, the last one of the year 2021. So welcome. And before we start, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest today? I don't see anybody jumping up to say anything. Good afternoon, Inspector Ward. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I'm doing well, and you?
Good. You have creases in your forehead there. Are you?
Well, that's what happens when I get my hair shaved right down tight, and you know, you can see my mustache maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Not really, but
no, I know.
I got $50 invested, so it better grow.
Everybody teases me that it just looks like I had chocolate milk for lunch. So.
Okay. There's doesn't appear to be any public on the call today, so we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Everybody has received a copy of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda or additions? Motion to accept, John Creelman, seconded Wayne Evans. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We do have the minutes of our previous meeting that were also distributed from September 15th. Are there any additions or deletions to those minutes?
Not from me.
Having seen none, moved by Wayne, seconded by John. All in favor? Moving right along here. So there was no matters really from those minutes other than we continuously discussed the towing bylaw. And Mayor Creelman, is there any new information on that? I know we raised it at the Joint Police Board meeting.
I've heard none, and you know, I frankly I'm a little concerned it's taking too long. You know, Orangeville is driving this, and I'm prepared to have a chat with the mayor about how fast or slow it's occurring, but they wanted to have a public meeting, and you know, quite frankly, I just want to see a bylaw and pass it. I mean, I don't think there's a lot to talk about. The province has stepped in, the OPP has stepped in, and all we need to do, frankly, is pass a bylaw, maybe try to address the issue of the fees, which I think need to be addressed. They are in other municipalities, and maybe the protocol for calling out tow trucks. I think the notion of the local tow truck companies coming together in a kumbaya session and they're all friends once more. I don't think they were friends ever. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think we just need to come up with a fair way of dispatching or calling for the dispatch of tow trucks. I don't know what Terry has to say on that, but that's my take on it.
So first off, I haven't had a chance to congratulate you, Mayor Creelman, on your new assignment.
Thank you.
Well done, whether you wanted it or not.
My old, yeah.
Yeah, what is old is new again. So, I mean, from the OPP perspective, I mean, we don't own this whole tow thing, right? Like that's MTO, so our policies are coming into place basically to direct how our officers call for a tow. That's specifically what our policies are revolved around. So, I mean, and any of the fees fall under the Consumer Protection Act stuff, right? So they kind of regulate what the fees are supposed to be. But I think it's still important to have that bylaw to basically dial in on equipment, driver conduct, that kind of thing, that we don't have any say over, right? So you kind of need that bylaw to be able to kind of look after that end of things. And I know in a couple meetings with Orangeville, they're coming up, you know, him and Han, you know, about the whole bylaw thing. And I'm still saying, no, you need the bylaw. You know, they're kind of falling under that trap that the OPP are regulating all this stuff. And I'm saying, no, these policies that we're putting in place are strictly on how we're going to deal with calling tow trucks to scenes. Other than that, they still need some type of local bylaw that deals with, again, like the big thing would be the driver conduct, right? And how they do things at the scene. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
And so Mayor Creelman, if you could speak to Mayor Sandy, and we did mention it with Todd at the Joint Police Board meeting on it. He was supposed to get back to us, but that didn't really happen.
Well, one of the issues is incredibly important, and that is where the pound is located. Because as we know, cars are being towed out of county to points south at great inconvenience to the people who then have to ultimately retrieve their vehicle. And I know that is potentially regulated either by how the OPP deals with a call or how the province deals with its level of regulation. But there are a number of things that can be covered by a bylaw, and I just think we need to get on with it and cut to the chase and pass the darn thing. As I say, I don't see the opportunity for a lot of cooperation amongst all the players. I know of past history on this, and as a group they don't get along. So we have to make certain that the consumer is protected.
Okay, so if you could follow up with Sandy, that would be good.
I will.
Okay, thank you. The Joint Police Board meeting, we were all there, so we know what went on there. There is a future meeting that will be hosted by Shelburne. They've stepped up for it, so that will be in the new year. I don't think there's any new information on the detachment board. Inspector, have you heard anything about still dead in the water?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have not heard anything on that new thing on boards. Haven't heard a word.
Okay, so we'll just proceed in our own little fiefdom here and keep Mono safe for our residents. Next item is the alarm report. The alarm report was contained within the OPP monthly report, and it's quite a few alarms there, but it's good to see that that they're not focused on the same addresses all the time. Cheyenne is in Dominican Republic right now, and so she's not able to tell me whether there's any letters have been sent out, but we'll have a report on that at our next meeting. Probably a lot of it was weather related. A few on French Drive there. I guess those are the businesses on French Drive. Geez, steaming right along here. We're down to the your report, Inspector.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this report touches on the third quarter. So from the 1st of July 2021 till the 30th of September 2021. As you can see, we've had no complaints, no secondary employment issues. Going in for the calls of service, the billing summary. Again, I'm not going to touch on anything. I'll touch on some of the highlights that I see, and if there's any questions, feel free to ask. I mean, in the violent crime code, relatively minimal amounts. Into the property crimes, again, minimal calls for service dealing with that. One of the ones that I see under the property crimes violation, again, is gasoline drive-offs. So during that quarter, there was 9, year-to-date 15. Again, right, from the excessive amount of traffic, it's not surprising that we have some people that try to fill up their vehicles and drive away. Again, carrying on down through Other criminal codes, again, minimal as far as calls for service go. Looking into the drugs, we had one trafficking cocaine call. And into the statutes and acts, again, we had 8 landlord-tenant complaints during that period of time. Where we start to get into it, we see an increase in some calls. Into the operational point, you see stray animals. 11 calls during that period of time. Again, with horses and different animals that get out on the road, we're getting those calls for service. Domestic disturbances, again, 14 during that period of time, 42 for the year. That's a commonality we're seeing throughout the county. And again, what we seem to get a lot of for mono is suspicious person calls. And as you'll see on the next page, the suspicious vehicle calls. And most of them are consistent, right? 11 suspicious persons, 13 suspicious vehicles. So again, right, with the increase in traffic that's coming up through and the weekenders and people coming through, a lot of people are looking for shortcuts and they end up on back roads, and the majority of people that live in these areas are calling in to say, oh, I have a suspicious vehicle or a suspicious person on my road. So
Terry, what's that assist the public call, that number? That's up quite substantial.
That is what's happening is that's kind of a catch-all. And what we're getting, we see an increase in calls to the police looking for advice. And it's kind of one of those that's the only category it fits into, right? We had an increase in calls asking about COVID rules and regulations. So those have to be put into something, so they end up into an assist public. A lot of it's the phone calls that we get where officers have to return phone calls to people that have questions, right? Questions on child custody orders and that kind of thing. And we see an increase over the last little while. And again, it's county-wide. We're getting an increase in these phone calls with people asking us questions. So that's why we have that increase in there.
And again, that pretty much is the increase in our hours year over year. It seems to be from
and
that.
One of the things we're doing for those too is we continue to audit that just to make sure that some of the officers aren't using that as a catch-all and it should be put somewhere else. So we are trying to keep an eye on that because, as you know, sometimes our reporting system, some guys just look for the easy way out and they score it into something that maybe it shouldn't be. So we are keeping an eye on that to make sure that it's not an inflated number. And then the false alarms again, right, which you saw before. Into the traffic stuff, and we'll touch on that in a couple other pages. So again, at the end, the year-to-date weighted hours is up a bit. And again, you can see on some of the calls that are increasing that's causing that. Again, going through this other records management system report, again, the violent crime is down, which is good. Property crimes, again, is pretty even. We've had a few fraud calls during that period of time. What we found, again, is telephone and internet frauds are up and people are calling to report it. We're actually doing this month a couple of senior fraud presentations in Orangeville to try and get some of our seniors not to fall into that trap. Again, the drugs is that one cocaine charge. Moving in, the next page is, these are all the provincial offenses notices for the entire county. So as you can see, I'm not going to go through it all, but for those 3-month period, we laid over 2,400 charges. So again, our officers are out there enforcing, that's for sure. Next, we get into the provincial offense notice stats for Mono. And as you can see, the Part 3 summonses, again, right? So compared to 2020, overall, there was 374 in 2020, and this year we're already at 314. So that continues to climb. And when you get into the part ones, as you can see already, last year was 2,144, and we're already at 2,766 this year with 3 months left to go. So the enforcement piece is definitely there. The charges are being laid, and as you can see by a monthly breakdown, the charges are definitely being written.
Thanks to the Orangeville cars. Thanks to the Orangeville cars.
Well, there's, you know what? At the end of the day, it's some of the townships are definitely benefiting because those officers are, you know, leaking out of town and doing some enforcement out there for sure.
Yep. Amen. Thank you.
The next is into Larry, the traffic enhancement analytics. And as you can see, again, Larry's pretty consistent in his charges. You know, and again, for July, 130, August, 145, September, 150. So again, like, to me, that's, I mean, it's incredible, the amount of work that we're getting from Larry. Breaking it down here is, I always like looking at the stunt driving. Like you look, like July, you laid 25 stunt driving charges, 18 in August, another 21 in September. That's, it's bad that it's out there, but it's incredible the number of charges that he's laying.
Yeah, and, you know, that's the kind of, you guys have been really great with all the press releases and things lately. But if the public knew how many youth, especially like the 16-year-old the other day, how many people are getting nailed for stunt driving, maybe it would scare them a little bit. You know, it's I think it's all the local kids and stuff too. The parents got to know what's going on.
And the problem is I would like to see a lot more press stuff put out there, but unfortunately our media officer gets shut down by Central Region headquarters with some of the stuff she tries to put out. So unfortunately, I guess there's rules and regulations that we have to follow in the media end of things. So we don't get to throw out there what I'd like to see go out there. So, but we're doing our best to keep the public informed as to what we are doing.
Terry,
is there anything you can do about that?
Go ahead, John.
Oh, sorry.
Is there any intervention we can make on her behalf? Because I think we really have to message here.
Not really, because it's all monitored through corporate communications out of Aurelia. So there's an actual civilian subject matter expert that basically views all the press releases that go out. And so some of the stuff gets stopped, some of the stuff gets changed. Yeah, we're kind of, our hands get tied at times with some of the things we can release and some of the things we can't. So, and then we get told every once in a while that we're putting too much out there because we're trying to, they don't want it saturated with just Dufferin County stuff. They also, because we share the media profile with Nottawasaga and Caledon, that you know, they want it to be kind of equalized. So, but again, right, Terry Ann's pushing hard, and she's doing the media up as best she can, and we'll just keep pushing, right? We'll keep putting out as much as we can, because I think it's important for the public to know that we're out there as well and what we are getting into.
Terry, if there's anything I can do to assist on that, please let me know offline, because I think the more exposure we have, the better. And I don't mind that on.
Okay.
Well, I guess as a town we could do something too in the way of a press release, especially if we loop it around the Black Cat to talk about what we're doing proactively here within the community, given some of the local chatter on the Facebook groups lately. Wayne, you wanted to say something?
Oh yeah, just Terry, I was curious, like, are the majority of the stunt driving charges related to speed, or are you also dealing with other different aspects of that stunt driving? Because it's a fairly, because I mean, people, it could be even squealing tires and stuff like that, or whatever. But is the majority speed?
Yeah, the majority is speed. Yeah.
Thanks, okay.
So just to finish this off with the motor vehicle collisions, as you can see, for this year, we've had 19 non-fatal injury collisions and 74 property damage collisions for a total of 93. Just the traffic file control registry. Again, you're right, listen the locations of the collisions, the incident type, and the primary causes.
The animals seem to be down this year,
They are.
or in this quarter anyway.
Yeah, no, they are. I was actually, I always look at that just to see, and it is very much.
I saw one
And
was
then
I saw one was domestic. I guess the husband and wife were having a fight and ended up having a collision.
never drive angry. And then the false alarm registry, as you saw. And then I always just try to put in some of the press releases. I'm not sure if you all get the releases when they come out or not, but it's kind of nice to see some of the stuff. And again, I try to pick through the good stories, if there is such a thing. And again, with some of the impaireds and different things with the one with the business broken into and that the people were charged, right? So it's kind of nice to see that. So
Terry, what we do is I do receive them and I circulate them to the board, but also ones that are pertinent to the community, we also post on the town website.
Great. That's great, because that just helps us circulate that out there, right? So
yeah.
So great. No, so barring any more questions, that's my report for the third quarter.
Very good. So is the Black Cat, have the guys all been trained? Have they got it out on the highway yet?
So it is deployed, and I won't tell you where online.
Good.
I can tell you offline. But it is out there. We're gonna leave it up for 5 days. Then we're gonna bring it in, download it, and see. Again, it's kind of an experiment for the officers that are. This is new to them as well, so they're learning how to use it. And but be assured, it is out there right now, and we'll see what kind of data we get, and then I could share that in the next meeting, how we're doing and what we get and what plan we're coming up with to use that data. And then we can discuss too, maybe some areas that you think is kind of a priority to where we can look at. Biggest problem is we're running out of weather because the battery doesn't stand up in the cold weather. So we'll try and get it out a few more times, and then obviously once the weather turns again in the spring, we'll definitely be using it all summer.
Great.
Mr. Chair, if I can,
yeah.
the issue of the Black Cat came up at council as a result of a question that was put to us by a resident of the Mono Agila town line. And my response to that was that I would raise it today, mindful of the fact that we do not involve ourselves in operational matters. That while we purchased the Black Cat for the use of the OPP, we're not directing its use. It's totally at the discretion of the OPP as to where they think it is best deployed. So I just leave it there. I'll be very interested to see what the stats are, and if we can set up a regular reporting on the stats, again, leaving at your discretion where you choose to use it.
Yeah, and I'll answer just to comment through the chair. I appreciate that, sir, but I still look for input from the board as to some of the hot spots, and we'll work as a team to make sure that we're utilizing it, and then we can decide. Once I get the data, then obviously it becomes my responsibility to make sure that the enforcement piece is put into place. So, but I don't have any issues with taking input on where that should be deployed.
Well, I think we've heard of 2, maybe 3, Mono Agila Town Line, Hockley Road, and potentially, the obvious places like Highway 10, Highway 9, and so forth.
Yeah, so, and as the inspector said, because this is a public meeting and available for people to review on video later, the locations that we're suggesting we should probably keep to ourselves, although if they do think that that device is out there and it is recording, it might be some sort of a preventative also, but we don't want them to know where it is because they'll go and steal it. That's the other issue.
Well, and even then, we don't get true data if people know it's out there, right? So
Right. I guess the
Yeah.
issue with the mono edge of the town line is that the town did have the speed measuring device out there, but it was the portable sign, and of course that does cause people to slow down when they're seeing the speed and they know it's being recorded. So this would, at some point in time, if you're able to have a look at that, maybe coordinate with Mike Dunsmore as to when he did his measurements, so we can have maybe an apples to apples comparison year over year as to what they're doing with a visual sign as opposed to the surreptitious measuring device.
yeah, yep, good idea. And the only other thing I'll add in just at the end here is, so what we've done is we've initiated a traffic management team for Dufferin. Due to manpower, we've started off small. We started off with 3 officers, but they're dedicated to traffic throughout the county. We're only a few weeks in, but so far the results have been very positive. For some of the complaints and different things we have, that they're, for lack of a better term, a bit of the tip of the spear, that they're not bogged down with the other calls for service, that their focus is strictly traffic and traffic enforcement. So we're well due for that in this area. We need it. You know, eventually it would be nice to be able to expand it, but we had to start somewhere, and we've started with 3, and we'll go from there. But it's definitely long needed, and so far been, from what I've seen, been very proactive.
Very good. Any other questions for the inspector?
If I could, Terry, not to put you on a spot here, I have a provincial offences management committee meeting tomorrow, and I'll be asking a number of questions about the progress that's occurring in POA courts or lack thereof. Do you have any insights you can share? You know, mindful of being careful here, as to, you know, you're laying a lot of charges. The question that I'd have is, where are they going? Are the courts as backed up as they were the last time we talked, or is there light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can get you some information on that. I can check with the court officers and see where we're at. I honestly, I don't have an opinion. I don't know where we're at, but let me ask some questions after the meeting, and I'll see what I get you, and I'll email it to you.
Okay, and I'll certainly be asking questions on behalf of the town tomorrow to the court manager as to whether courts are up and running, whether trials are being scheduled, whether they're simply in a mode of taking resolutions by way of phone, exactly what's going on, because it's been far too quiet in my view.
I have seen a few emails come out where POA court's been canceled due to lack of JPs was always the excuse. So, but that's,
No.
I can't comment on that. I don't know. That's just the emails I've seen come out over our system.
I shouldn't get going on that, but you probably know my views on it.
Yes, Your Honor, Your Worship.
I'll hold my tongue.
Yeah, okay. Okay, motion to accept the verbal report from the OPP. John, seconded Wayne, all in favor, opposed, carried. Okay, there's no correspondence that has been received, so we head to the new business. Appointment of chair for 2022. Do we have any nominations for the chair?
Yeah, Chair, I'd actually like to nominate you, Mike, for the role as chair. Your background experience, I think, is important in that role, and I certainly would like to nominate you again for that role.
And I'm happy to second.
Now, Terry, are you agreeable?
You
Okay,
bet. You're doing a great job in there, Mike.
yeah, I accept. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Meetings for next year. I've gone through the calendar and I've identified February the 16th, June 15th, September 14th, and November 16th, which falls into the same slots as currently. Any objections? When's the election, John?
Oh, I don't want to think about it. It's in October somewhere, I think.
October. Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll set the dates. Who knows who will be on the board in November other than Wayne, but
Yeah.
will any changes to those dates?
No, it looks
Okay.
fine.
Not that I
Okay,
can see.
the mover is Wayne, seconded by John. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, any other new business? Holy crap, it's only 1:32. Okay, so our next meeting is February the 16th after Valentine's Day. So you'll all be able to get your sweeties some presents. Oh, well, let me just check my calendar here. I'm going to Cuba. Yeah. I think I'm just, yeah, I'm leaving on the 16th. So we can't do it on the 16th. Can we move it to the 9th, February the 9th? Is that okay?
Can't we do it at the airport? Aren't you taking us with you?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to. I hope I'm going because I was supposed to be going there next week, but Sunwing canceled the vacation. So we're driving to Quebec City and then on to Cape Breton for 12 days since we already have a babysitter here for the dog. So
How come Sunwing canceled? What was their?
they cut back on the amount of flights.
Oh.
So they're just ramping up at the resorts down there because they're still a little COVIDious down there, and there's still shortages of food, etc. So
Oh, okay.
they figure that by February it'll be their inoculations will be well up and things will be better. But we're able to get bookings for that period of time, and I'm not a big. I've traveled extensively through Cuba for work, so I know the country very well, and the people are great, but the resorts aren't really that high standard. But a bunch of friends of ours are going, and they go there all the time, so we're going to accompany them. So is February the 9th okay, gents?
Good with me.
Looks good to me.
Are they
Okay,
using the Russian vaccine, the Sputnik, down there?
No, they actually developed their own vaccine. Like the medical infrastructure down there is fantastic.
It's
They
very
have
good.
more highly trained doctors. There was
Lots of rum.
yeah, but this like I worked for the airlines down there, and we had a station manager in Veradero, and his wife was a nephrologist, a kidney doctor, and she was trained in London, England, and then brought back to Cuba, and like she gets $25 a month. Like we were paying him under the table about $500 a month, and she was only getting 25. So it's
Wow.
ridiculous.
Wow.
Incredible.
Okay, so as we stated, the next meeting is February 9th, and unknown at this time whether it'll be virtual or in person, but we'll still go for 1 p.m. at the present time. Motion to confirm the proceedings of the meeting of the Mona Police Services Board held today. Wayne, seconded John. All in favor, opposed, carried. And a motion to adjourn at 1:35. John and Wayne. Okay, well, it's the last time I'll talk to you guys before Christmas unless something happens. So I wish you all the best and hope you have a great one. I'm sure I'll be talking to Inspector Ward in the interim about.
I'm still waiting for you to buy me breakfast.
Yeah, soon. We should all get together at John's place sometime for breakfast. I'm
Thanks,
sure his
John.
wife.
I'm happy to volunteer. And by the way, we, as a town, we are working on a get back to normal plan. Date uncertain as to when it will implement, but there is a growing frustration with not meeting in person, and I think we're trying to address that, mindful of everything going on around us. And you know, to have a plan is better than not to have a plan and try and develop it sometime into the future. So we're active on that.
It just
Very good.
never, we just can't seem to win, eh? Our numbers go down and now they start to spike and go back up. Like we can't,
Yeah,
can't
but
seem
not
to
in
get
this,
ahead.
but not in this county though. That's the thing.
No, we're good. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, there's only 4 active cases in Duffer, and
We have only
I
one
think
in Mono. Only
yeah,
one in Mono.
and the province is going to be taking more of a regional approach on lockdowns and prevention, which is probably a good thing. So
Yeah.
you know, why punish everybody? But I'll tell you, and like the meeting's over now. But this is and Andrew, you can turn the recording off.